Hello everyone and welcome. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing great. My name is Abdurrahim. I'm a storyteller from Cafe Clock of Marrakesh. And today I'm going to tell you a very special story. This story is derived from the Moroccan oral heritage, which means that this story cannot be found in any printed documents. It is called The Sad King. So now let's go to it. Once upon a time, there was a very strong and courageous king. This king used to defeat the strongest warrior just by himself. He was very strong. He sometimes used to organize some tournaments, some wrestling tournaments in which the drums are beat, the flutes are sung, and the spectators hold their breath, watching and enjoy the king, because he was undefeated. And to them, to his people, he was an entertainer. He loved those tournaments, and he had a very big and huge, gigantic eagle. He loved him so much, and he treated him like one of his sons. One day, the king was sitting on his throne with his ministers. They were discussing, those governing matters and all the situation of the city and the country and the whole country. Here the king told them to prepare for him some men, 1,000 men with their hunting dogs and their eagles, so that they can go for hunting, because he loved to hunt so much. The next morning, they prepared a very huge royal convoy for him to go to hunt. But he told them that this time will be very different from the others, because he will not go hunt in his own place that he always hunts from. The convoy was going for days and nights, looking for that special land to hunt from. As they were going, they came across a very huge and evergreen land, and there in which the king told them to set their tents so that they can hunt. All the men start pitching their tents here and there on all the corners of the land. They ate, they drank, they danced, they sang, they fought one another. They spent the most unforgettable moments in their whole life. And the hunting time is here. So here the king split them into so many parts, in which every part should hunt something different from the other part. And the part in which the king is in or is within, they should hunt deers. That was the mission. So all the parts get spread all over the corners of the land, including the king and his part. They were looking for some deers, and each one of them were looking for his own specific animal to hunt. As the part of the king was going and looking here and there, including the king of course, he was sneaking and looking for some deers, till he saw a very gorgeous, beautiful deer. The king, at that moment, he was so astonished, so amused. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. So he called his men. They all came and they made a very big circle on that deer. And now the deer is in the middle of them. She started looking for a way to jump up and run away, but she couldn't. Because all the men, they were with their shields forming like a wall. She started dodging from here and there, and here the king spoke. He said to his men, "Listen to me, you idiot. If that deer jump up on the side of one of you, I swear I will cut off his head. Do you understand?" And they were so afraid, so scared, so terrified, because they knew their king, and they knew how serious he is, especially when it comes to those small matters. So all the men, arm by arm, holding their shields, waiting for the chance to jump on the deer. But the deer was super fast. She kept dodging from all the sides, from the right to the left, to the front, to the back, but all were men. No escape at all. As the deer was in that situation, she looked at the king's side, and they were like a very little, tiny place, empty place. And she jumped out from that place and ran away. And all the men, they stood still, like really still, and they were looking at the king's eyes. Is that, or they were, if like they were saying to the king, now what? Shall we cut off your head? But they couldn't, because this is the king, and no one dared to say such thing to the king. He felt it though. How come a simple deal would embarrass and shame the king in front of his men? This is unbelievable. This is nonsense. This is madness. And here the king said to his men, listen to me. I have just sworn that I will kill the man who let the deer run away. And turns out that I'm the man. I want none of you to follow me. Do you understand? They say, yes, yes, your highness. And he rode on the back of his horse, followed with his eagle. He said to them, oh, my dear eagle, today is the day that I needed you the most. My dear horse, today is the day that I count on you the most. I want you to be united. And bring me that deer. The deer was running away. On the back was the king following her steps. All along with the eagles tried to block her sight with his long and wide eagle. But the deer was super fast. She was fastest than them all. She kept dodging from all the sides, from the right to the left. They were following her for about 3 to 4 hours, till the king got bored, till the king was like really so tired. He couldn't just, he couldn't stand it. So he just like pulled an arrow from his quiver, and he set it to the bow, and he's like stretched his arm, and he threw it, directed to the deer. She fell on the ground, and she died. The king was super angry, so he started like, peeling off her skin and cooking it and eating it till he filled his belly. And now the king wants to drink some water. He kept looking for some water, but everything was so green. Here and there, just some trees, some plants, but no rivers, no water at all. He kept calling his men, but no one to answer. Obviously that the king got lost. So he kept shouting, no one to respond. Kept yelling, calling his people by their name, no one to answer. So he started going and walking for so many hours. Was so thirsty, looking for something to drink, looking here and there, till he came across a very huge mountain. And on that mountain there were a very big tree. He was so happy. Whoa, that's a relief. I'm certainly going to find some water inside that mountain, under the shade of that tree. So he was running to the tree, and he sat on the shade of the tree, trying to relax, till he saw a very small, little tiny thread of water leaking down from the tree. He was so happy, super happy. So he grabbed a golden cup from the horse saddle, and he was trying to fill that cup with that water, till the eagle started whistling so loudly, and he dropped it from the king's hand, and the cup fell on the ground. The king said to the eagle, my dear eagle, my dear friend, this is my mistake, that's my bad. It's not me who should drink first, it's you who should drink first. So he just picked the cup from the ground and was trying to fetch the water for the eagle, till the cup got filled up, and he wanted to give it to the eagle. Again, the same thing, the same scenario. The eagle started whistling so loud, and he dropped it from the king's hand, and the cup from the second time fell on the ground. The king here started laughing. Oh, my dear eagle, that's my bad, that's my mistake. It's not me who should drink first, and it's not you who should drink first, it's my horse. He's the one who picking me all the way till here on his back. So he picked the cup from the ground and was trying to fill it with water. The same thing. The eagle started whistling and he dropped it from the king's hand. The king was super angry, like very bored. He couldn't believe that. He was like super thirsty, so he just like took the sword out from his sheath and he said to the eagle, to that white big eagle, "You little stinky bird, you didn't drink. You didn't let me drink, you didn't let my horse drink, and for this you should die." And he hit him with the sword. He cut his wing, and the poor eagle fell on the ground, covered with blood. Again, the same thing. The king grabbed the cup and was trying to fill it with water. The same thing, that eagle started like whistling and pointing above the tree. Whistling and pointing above the tree. The king rose his head and he saw a very big, gigantic snake. It was like opening its mouth, and actually that water wasn't water. It was some poison leaking down or coming down from the snake's mouth. He was looking at his friend, dying. He couldn't believe that. At that very moment, all the men of the king were coming toward the king, because because he got lost and they didn't just know what happened to him. "Bring me a doctor! Bring me a doctor, you idiot! Bring me a doctor!" And they brought him a doctor who was examining the poor little eagle, but it was too late. They said to the king, Your Highness, I'm afraid that it's too late, and that the eagle has died." The king couldn't believe that. He started crying with tears, because he knew that he was the responsible for his death, and that the eagle was trying to help him. He kept looking down at his friend, the eagle, and he said to him, "You, my friend, you saved me twice. You saved me when you were alive, but not letting me drink from that cup. And you saved me when you were dying by pointing above the tree. This is indeed what it's meant to be, or this is indeed what is friendship. This is indeed loyalty. And for this I shall never forget you, ever." The king passed his realm to his son to take control over all the country. Whereas the king buried the eagle, the poor eagle, at that land, and he left. He spent the rest of his life in mourning, in sorrow and sadness, till people start calling him the sad king. And here, ladies and gentlemen, my sad story ended. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thanks everyone. I hope that everyone is doing great. I hope that you're doing great. I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're enjoying this quality time with your family. And I hope that you are following the regulations of your countries, because it's the time for us to stand together and pass this pandemic and pass these hard times. It's all gonna pass, no worries. It's not gonna stay forever. And here I come with another story, trying to attempt and to entertain and to help you feel good and have fun a little bit during these hard times. So, and for the ones who doesn't know me, my name is Mohammed. I'm 23 years old, a storyteller from Marrakesh, based in Cafe Clock, Marrakesh. And yeah, let's start. Now, ladies and gentlemen, once upon a time there was this king. This king who was famous among the other kings. This king, his name is Harun Rashid. Harun Rashid had his best friend as his prime minister, and his name is Yahya al-Barmaki. One day Harun Rashid decided to go for a trip, and he called for his prime minister. He told him, "I want to go for a trip, but I don't want anybody else to come with me except you, and both of us will go disguised as normal men." The prime minister was a little bit worried. "Why would you do that?" He said, "Just follow me." The prime minister accepted. And then they went on their journey. And the purpose of this journey is just to check the whole kingdom, how is it going with the other cities. to check if everybody is okay, to check if anyone needs something. So when they go back to the capital, they would send the things that that city needs. So they did. They went on their journey and they came back. As soon as they arrived to the door of Baghdad, the Prime Minister decided to go and told the king that he's going to go to the palace and announce that His Majesty, the king, is here, so that they would prep his room, they would prep some clean clothes for him, they would prep a bath, they would prep some food. So he did. He went. The king told the Prime Minister to go ahead of him. He didn't want to go with him. He decided to take a tour in the city by himself. He always do that. Now, as he was walking through the alleys of Baghdad, he spotted this crowd. He stood for 5 minutes observing that crowd. And then he realized it was a street food restaurant. You know those common street food places where we get like some hot dogs and chilies and stuff like that. We have plenty of those down here in Marrakesh, in Morocco in general. Anyways, he stood and he kept looking at the vendor. As he approached him, the shop owner noticed the king. And then he said, "I think that you are new in this town." He didn't know that he was the king. He didn't know that he was the ruler of the whole country. The king decided to play along, and he said, "Yes, it's my first time down here. What is it that you're having in your shop? What do you cook? What kind of plates do you prepare?" The shop owner said, "I'm having a special plate for you. How about you would go inside and wait for me?" And as the king was going inside, he opened the first curtain, the second curtain, the third, the fourth, the fifth. The guy had a big shop. Now, as soon as he opened the seventh, the first step he made, he didn't find no floor. It was a hole. So the king felt in there. The king fell in that hole. And then the king, it was a little bit dark. He couldn't believe himself. So he decided to keep calm. He remained calm and waited for the man to come. Now the shop owner, the butcher, as soon as he finished, he went to the room where the king was. So he said, "Are you there? You're not dead?" He said, "No, I'm not dead, but why are you doing this? Why are you abducting me? What have I done to you?" Well, the reason why this guy did all this is because he gathers strong men, because that's the thing that he spotted in the king. He gathers strong men, and then he sells them as slaves. That's how he gained some of his fortune. But the king here is so smart. He asked him, and this is what he told him. The king asked the man and told him, "Why do you do these things?" "Well, I am a person who gathers slaves and sell them. That's how I gain my money. And over the time, I've suffered to gain this fortune. It doesn't pay me that much, but at least something on the side." And the king immediately answered, and he said, "What if I can show you a way to make money? Show you a way to make money, more money than you make with your shop and this thing, whatever thing that you do, and still you won't be having to abduct people, because he's been doing that for a long time. He kidnapped so many people, a wife without a husband without a wife, parents without kids, kids without parents. My God." So here he said, "This is what I do." And the king said, "What if I can show you a way how to make money without kidnapping people and without even opening your shop?" Here the man, he was a little bit curious. "Okay, show me, tell me." He said, "First, I need a big needle and some rolls of tissue. I need a big needle and tissue. He said, okay, sure, why not? Now, he went and he brought the needles and he brought the sewing kits. He brought him the sewing kits and he brought him the tissue. So he said, can you please give me some time? So you can come back tomorrow morning and then you will find the trick ready. So the king started working on his trick. And then the man went. Next morning, the man came back. And when he came back, he asked the king, what is it that what did you do? Show me, tell me. Sure. He said, I made hmala. I made hmala. Now, hmala in Moroccan, it's a piece of clothes that we use to roll up our sleeves. Specifically, women use them because we have kaftans and traditional clothes back then. People used to wear like these like all day long, with long sleeves and fluffy sleeves like these. Hmala works to help us like fix these sleeves, to help the women fix these sleeves so that they can do the housework. That's what hmala is. And considering the quality of the hmala, you can tell if the family is rich or poor, or middle ground. So here, he kept looking at the hmala as the king was holding it up. The man said, what is that? The king said, this is a hmala. And you're gonna go to the souk, and you're not gonna sell it nothing less than 20 golden coins. 20 golden coins. Gold. He said, that little piece is going to bring me 20 golden coins? Are you serious? He said, just do as I say and pay attention. That's it. So he did. He went to the broker. He said, I do not want to sell this on nothing. I'm not going to take anything less than 20 golden coins for this. As the man took that hmala, he was mesmerized. Oh my God. Did you make this? Can you believe the art and the details? He was super shocked by the quality of the hmala. So here, and as he was going to people, to the vendors, the broker got him that 20 golden coins. The next day, same thing the king did. 1 week passed, 2 weeks. The third week here, the king had a trick. And this trick is, as soon as he made the hmala, he gave it to him. And then he went, called for the man came, he threw the hmala to him, and then the man went to sell it like as normal. But before he goes, the king told him, you are not gonna sell that nothing less than 100 golden coins. The man was like, oh my God, what are you saying? 100 golden coins? Oh my God. So here he accepted and he went to the first shop. The first shop, there was this beautiful young man, this amazing young man. He was there on behalf of his father. He was a family man. And he knew what he was doing. He was a master of his craft. As soon as he took the hmala and asked about the price, 100 golden coins. What? And then the man started to look at the details. He noticed something. And he noticed a message from the king sewed in the hmala. The king wrote a message on the hmala by sewing. My God. But he kept his calm. He kept his cool. He read a line. That line says, I am His Majesty the King, Harun Rashid. This man have abducted me, and he has the intention to sell me as a slave. I order whomever reads this message to call for security to call for the guards and capture him. So he did. He snuck his way out of the shop, that young man, holding the himala. And he went and called for the guards. The guards came and captured that man, took him to jail, and they saved the king. The king went back to his palace. Took a shower, he cleaned himself, he had some good food finally. And then he asked for the presence of that man in front of him. He asked him, "Why do you do that?" He said, that's the only thing I know how to do. I have nothing but that shop and that business. I didn't know anything else to do. I was just lost. And he said, "You really have the intention to sell me as a slave?" He said, "Yes." "Well, you reap what you sow." He sent him to jail, avenging all of the families that lost their loved ones because of him. And then he sent another message. He told to his kid. Now this quote, I'm going to say it in Arabic, and of course I'm going to translate it. الحرفة إذا ما غنتك تسترك وقلت طول في عمرك. This quote means, your craft, if it's not going to make you rich, it's going to help you go through the hard times. It's going to make you a living. If it's not going to make you rich, it's going to make you a living. And maybe it's going to broaden and help you save yourself in life. So here his son, he was super shocked. And then the king went to his room, chilling, just reading. He went to his room, and that night actually he couldn't sleep, because this king had another special habit. Now this habit is kind of similar to what he did in the beginning of the story. Now this habit is to roam around the city of Baghdad once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, sometimes the whole week. It depends. And he missed walking around city of Baghdad during the night. So here, he didn't do it for a month because he was captured. So here, he couldn't sleep. He called his wife to play him some music. He read a book. He couldn't. And then again, he called his friend, Yahya al-Barmaki, the prime minister. He called for him and came. He said, "How about we go for another tour, just in the city this time? We're not going to go out of the walls. I don't want the same thing to happen to me again." So he said, "Okay, sure, why not? You go." They went roaming around the city. They went and they were walking street by street, alley by alley. They did not find anybody. Nothing. The king said, "Let's walk again." They kept on walking, looking for someone to help. This time again, they were disguising themselves as normal people. They kept on walking and walking and walking. Nothing. Nothing. Now, the prime minister was so sleepy. "Oh my God, Your Highness, please, can I just go home? Can we just go home, please, Your Highness? I'm sleepy, I swear to God." He said, "And you called yourself my prime minister?" He was teasing his friend. "You call yourself my prime minister? Okay, let's go." The prime minister saw a shortcut back to the palace. As soon as they took it, they took that shortcut, and then they stopped. They stopped, ladies and gentlemen. They stopped because they saw something unusual. Oh my God! The king looked at the prime minister. The prime minister looked at the king. And they stood there for 10 minutes just observing, looking at whatever is happening in there. Now here, the first thing that the king have done was he decided to greet the old man. Now this old man in the beginning, before we jump into the next events, this old man that they saw, he was sinking himself in a pot of water. He was sinking himself in a pot of water, washing clothes in the middle of the night. That's what shook, that's what surprised the king and the prime minister. An old man, half naked, in a pot of water, washing clothes. Oh my God. So what the king had done? The king decided to greet the man, to say, Assalamu alaikum. The king said Assalamu alaikum. The old man didn't answer. He kept on washing the clothes, he didn't mind. He was working. The king felt a little bit ashamed and disrespected. And then he said Assalamu alaikum again. The old man didn't answer. Once he said, I said Assalamu alaikum. The old man threw the clothes and started yelling at the king. What do you want? Can't you just please leave someone to do his job? I'm working, can't you see? Can't you see that I'm working? And by the way, if the royal guards catches you, they're gonna throw you to jail. Can't you see that? Can you please go away? He said, no, I just want to ask you a couple of questions. I have one question, and then I'm gone, please. He said, what are you doing here? And then the old man answered with a riddle, thinking that the king won't understand a thing and he would go away. He said, I am in charge, I lend, and I give what I already took. The king gave him this grin. He smiled, and he said, as a sign that he understood what he said, can you please pass my greetings to the people that you lend and the people that you are in debt for? The old man looked at him. The king looked at the prime minister. The prime minister was like, what is going on? They both were speaking Arabic, but the prime minister couldn't understand because they were talking in riddles. Okay. Here the king decided to add 4 more questions. He said, I have 4 more questions, and I swear that you're gonna gain something from this. And I swear that we're gonna go. Okay. He said, sure. The king decided to ask him and said, can I please ask you about those who are far? The old man said, those who are far are close, closer than you ever want them to be. What about the twins? What happened to the twins? The two are no longer twins. They have a brother. They are 3 now. What about the group? The group, they're all gone. I have one final question. Do you know how to pluck? The king and the old man shared this laugh, and the old man said, only if it's tied up. He took him. The king took the prime minister back to the palace. And as soon as they arrived to the door of the palace, he decided to ask the prime minister if he understood anything. He said, can I ask you something, Yahya? Did you understand anything from what me and the old man have shared? Does that ring a bell to you or something? He said, Your Highness, on my mother's grave, I didn't understand a single letter. I thought that you were talking another language, yet you were talking Arabic. I didn't understand anything. Here the king got super furious. He got super furious. Why? He said, do you call yourself a prime minister? You call yourself my friend. You have the power. You have the money. You have the best education in the whole country. And you call yourself my prime minister. We grew up together. We had the same professor. Definitely you didn't pay attention in school. Definitely. That's why you're a bad boy. Now, I swear to God that you are not gonna step foot in this court, in this palace, unless you bring me the meanings of the quotes. I don't care. Bring me the meanings, I can let you in. But I said, bring me the meanings and I can let you in. Alright then. Sure. The Prime Minister went on his journey back again to meet the old man, ladies and gentlemen. He went. He found the old man. He found him. He said, Assalamu alaikum. As soon as he said, the old man said, oh my God. Can't you please? The old man, hold whatever left from his hair, and he said, can you please leave me work? For God's sake. Can you please leave me work? I just sent you and your friend. Can't you just go? The Prime Minister said, please, old man, it's a matter of life and death. It's really important. He said, okay, sure. But everything that I'm going to do has its own price. The Prime Minister said, you're going to just explain it in words. Ah, you're asking about the words that me and your friend have shared. Now, for each line that I'm going to explain, I'm going to keep it short and simple. For each line that I'm going to explain, you're going to give me 100 golden coins. Agreed? The Prime Minister couldn't help it. He said, okay, sure. He gave him the first 100 golden coins and he said, can you please tell me the first question? He said, my friend asked you, what are you doing? And you answered that you are in charge, you lend and you give what he already took. He said, yes, I am in charge. I'm in charge of these clothes. I'm a watcher. These clothes are not mine. I don't own them. Look at that kaftan made out of silk. I can't afford that. I'm just a washer. I can barely make what sustains me and my family. I lend to my kids. My kids can't work. They're still young. They're not able to work. So I lend them. I give them what they need. I provide for them. I give what I already took. I give what I already took. The same thing that I'm doing with my kids. My parents have done that with me when I was a kid. So I am repaying my debt. Sure. He gave them the second 100 golden coins and he said, my friend asked you about those who were far and you said, they're close, closer than you ever want them to be. Well, my son, that's concerning my eyesight. When I was young, I can recognize people from far. Now that I am old, I can barely see what's near my leg, what's near my feet. I can barely see where I'm walking. That's why I need people to come closer to me so that I can recognize them. And sometimes it gets a little bit awkward. You know, they come a lot closer, like this. That's awkward. And then he gave them the third 100 golden coins, and he said, my friend asked you about, let me remember the question. My friend asked you about the twins. Yes, the twins. He specifically said, he asked you about the twins, and you said, the twins are no longer twins. They have a younger brother. They are 3 now. Well, that's easy. The twins are my leg, and the younger brother is my cane. When I was young, I can run, walk, jump, do whatever I can with my leg. With my feet. I didn't need this piece of wood. Now that I am old, I can barely get myself from point A to point B with the assistance of this cane. He gave them the fourth 100 golden coins. And he said, my friend asked you about the group, and you said they're all gone. That's simple. The group are my teeth. Huh? Can't you see? I have no teeth. The group are my teeth. When I was young, I had a fully grown mouth. Now, I can barely live off soup and soft bread because I don't have any teeth. Can't you see? The Prime Minister said, okay. The final moment, he gave them the fifth 100 golden coins. The man, as soon as he took the bags, he started shaking them. And he said, can you please tell me what your friend, the last question? He said, my friend told you, do you know how to pluck? And he said, only if it's tied up. Well, you stupid. Your friend tied you up for me, and I plucked 500 golden coins out of your beautiful pockets. Now, get out of my property. The Prime Minister was super mad. He couldn't believe himself. He went back running to the palace, and he found the king waiting for him. Waiting for him in front of the palace. And he said, "How dare you? How dare you send me in this night, telling me to bring 5 meanings?" I mean, he plucked me so good. He plucked 500 golden dinars, golden coins out of my pocket. The king kept listening to the complaints of the Prime Minister until he let everything out. Then he said, "Are you finished now? First of all, you're my lifetime friend. Second of all, I've taught you a lesson. Third of all, we've helped someone in need. Now, the lesson is, you need to start paying attention to what people say. You need to listen, not only hear. You need to listen with attention, carefully. Pay attention to what the people says. Try to analyze what they have in mind. Try to analyze what is the hidden message within the message. Try to read between the lines." He said, "Okay. Sure." I mean, and another thing, this technique, we can use it. Now that you have learned, this technique is wordplay. We can use it in our court. If I want to send you a message, and I want nobody else to understand what I'm talking to my trustworthy buddy, to my brother, we're gonna use it, and you're gonna understand it. There you go. And another thing, we can't just leave that man in there. You're a prime minister. You have all the money. You have all the power. That 500 golden coins, he's gonna use it to start a business, something that he can leave for his kids, and so on and so forth. You just saved the following generations of that man's family. There you go. Finally, the Prime Minister felt peace because he is going back to his court and he is going back to his palace. And the king had this blissful meaning, that came across his mind, that triggered a sense of blissfulness, happiness, because he helped someone. He repaid his debt, and he helped one of his people, one of his citizens. He went back to his room, slept, and everybody lived happily ever after. Thank you so much. And that's the end of my story. I hope that you liked my story, and I hope that you understood the lines. And thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for watching. Please do stay safe. Please take care of yourself. And this is just a fling that it's gonna pass. And thank you so much. Take care.
Isn't it wonderful that we can travel to Marrakesh? And the tellers from the Clock Cafe. The storytelling has been going on for a few years now. And we can listen to those tellers, but those tellers don't have the benefit of social security or anything else. So whatever you put in the hat will go directly to the tellers from the Clock Cafe. And we appreciate you listening to the stories. Now, if you can afford it, show your appreciation by dropping a little in the hat for those wonderful tellers from the Clock Cafe in the Casbah.